guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Soph. For today's video we're going to be doing my February reading wrap up. Now this is going to be quite a quick video. I only managed to read 4 or 5 books in February, which is fine. Like I'm not like trying to be down on anyone that typically reads that much. It's just I personally was hoping for more last month because I was in such a good reading mood. But we're going to go through what I did read, and I'm just going to tell you my thoughts and opinions. It was a good month, I will tell you that much. So book number 1 would be Onyx Storm. So I think I started it on the last day of January and then read it through most of February. I gave it a 3 stars. I can see why people have liked it more than Iron Flame, but there was still plot points that I just didn't understand. Maybe it's me being dumb, maybe it's my fault for not doing a recap before I went in, but the first sort of 30% of the book, I was half lost, half laughing. Don't get me wrong, this book made me cry on so many levels. Like, there were so many points where I thought things were going to happen and I was literally bawling my eyes out. So I did like it, and I have considered bumping it up to a 4 star because I do feel like by the end of the book I was like, okay, that wasn't as bad as it felt while I was reading it. But I just felt like the first like 30% dragged so much. The first 10% I had no idea what was going on. Then I kind of understood what was going on, but there was all this stuff happening, and yeah. I do think that it was written much better than Iron Flame. I do think that the plot definitely flowed better than Iron Flame, and the character developments we had were a lot better. However, the main like subplot of this book dragged the entire length of the book, and we didn't really get anywhere with it. But that being said, certain characters really came out this book, which I loved. Riddick is now one of my favourite people ever. The comedic relief that we definitely needed, especially when I was almost about to cry my eyes out. And yeah, I'm still going to read the next book. I'm still intrigued as to what's happening. I'm just missing some of the things that I loved in Fourth Wing, which is natural. It's a fantasy book. It's going to progress and get more political. That happens. I can accept that. It's just something was missing for me. It wasn't the same sort of vibe. But I gave it a 3 star. I have considered bumping it up because I did, by the time it finished, I was like, okay, that was a alright book. I then read Lights Out, which I absolutely adored. I gave it 4 stars, no regrets, absolutely loved it. It was such a quick, fast-paced read, such an easy read. I absolutely loved both the characters. I was literally screaming, giggling, kicking my feet at so many moments. It was so funny, and it really was a rom-com. I don't normally believe books when they're like tagged as a rom-com, because obviously it's subjective and things don't always translate as funny like on the page as they would if you were watching a rom-com. But Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, that is a rom-com. I would reread it now, honestly. Anytime that I need a relief from like the hard fantasy book, I'm just gonna pick up that book. The next one comes out in June, and I have pre-ordered it because I just love it so much. It's based on like masked men kind of tropes. I don't have a thing for that. That isn't like my thing, but I absolutely loved how it was in the book. And honestly, one of the plot points was so random, but I didn't even care because I was having such a good time. I don't know if I'm blinded by the fact that I was having such a good time. I don't really know if it was like the most well written book, but it's a light-hearted, you know, pick it up, have a good time, find it funny, go back to whatever you want to read afterwards. But I literally loved it so much. And yeah, I don't really have much to say other than I absolutely loved it. I think there might be some trigger warnings, so definitely check those out. The main one would be stalking, but he's I am not like excusing stalking at all, but if you've read Haunting Adeline and then you read Lights Out, you'll get what I mean when I say he's such a funny, cute stalker compared to like the actual dark stalker romances. This one isn't really, I wouldn't even say this is a dark romance, to be honest, because he's like stalking her, but he's so worried at the same time that she's gonna think that he wants to kill her. Like, he doesn't want to scare her. He doesn't even really stalk her, to be honest. He finds out her existence and then he goes to her house a couple times, I guess. But then I don't want to spoil it, so I'm gonna shut up there. But yeah, it's not really a dark stalker romance at all. Definitely still read the content warnings. But if you've read Haunted Adeline and you're okay with it, you'll probably be okay with Lights Out because he is so funny. He's like, oh no, does she think I'm gonna kill her? Like, he's so cute and charming and really doesn't really know what he's doing. So yeah, it's such a fun time. I really enjoyed it. Really recommend it if you just want a fun rom-com with a little bit of stalker in it. Like I said, read the content warnings and you'll be fine. Then I read Hopeless, which is number 5 in the Chestnut Spring series, and I believe it's the last one, unless she does go on to do one about the dad. And honestly, I did really enjoy this one. This one followed Beau, who I think is the oldest brother, and he is a war veteran. And throughout the other books, he's like a background character. He does get mentioned a lot, and you can tell that he definitely struggles with like PTSD in that. But this one is a book that really like goes in on him, his background, what he's going through, etc. And you really see from like inside his head. And he meets, well, he already knew her, but he meets Bailey, who is like 10 years younger than him. He's known her since she was a kid, but they form a fake relationship. One, so that she's related to a bad family about town. So anytime she tries to go for job interviews or whatever, her last name kind of puts on the back burner because nobody really wants to deal with anyone associated with that family, even though she is nothing like her father and her brothers. So they get fake engaged so that she can use his sort of connection to try and better her life, and he can get his family off his back so they think he's okay when really he's not. And it's just a story of like growth and personal development whilst also falling in love or whatever, and it was a really, really sweet story. It's not my favourite. My favourite, and probably always will be, the Theo and Winter one, which I think was the last one. I think that was Heartless. I can't quite remember, but theirs was definitely my favourite. But yeah, I love them all. I love all the characters individually, and I've loved going through all their stories, and I'm quite sad that I've come to the end of it. So I guess I'll be moving on to the other one. What's it called? I'm not sure what it's called, but I know it has some character crossovers, so I guess I'll be moving on to that one so that I can carry on. But honestly, Elsie Silver and her cowboy romances, or like ranch romances, that's where my heart is. I can talk about all these romances all I want, but cowboy romances is my like relaxation ones. So yeah, I gave that one 4 stars. I did really enjoy it, but it's not my favourite. And then we finished the month on Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Oh my god. When I tell you I'm obsessed with this book, I cannot even emphasize more how obsessed with this book I actually am, because your girl was screaming, crying, throwing up, giggling, kicking her feet, crying some more. I didn't want this book to end at all. I've already pre-ordered the next book, but it doesn't come out to November, so I'm like struggling here. But this one follows a world where there are different, it's kind of hard to explain. So the world where the main character is, there are different wards, and hers is in the desert, and they have to ration for water. The queen doesn't allow them to have water. It's full of poverty, so she steals and sells and stuff like that. But she also works kind of in a forge, so she knows her way around making swords, etc., and dealing with metal. One day, she steals the wrong thing, ends up in the palace, and opens up a Quicksilver pool, which is a big deal in this world, but you don't know that until this point. And because of this, she ends up being taken to the Fey realm, where they tell her that she is an alchemist. She has some Fey blood somewhere along the lines, and she can infuse metal with powers, basically. So they kind of keep her hostage, and it's about her first of all wanting to get home back to her family, but also ending up trying to help these Fae so that they can end a war, yada yada yada. I don't want to give too much away. We have a book boyfriend, Kingfisher. He is goals, and yeah, 5 stars. Absolutely loved it. Such a quick read. The writing style was so easy to read, and I really just like whizzed through it. I think I literally read it in a day because I was so obsessed. I couldn't even stop thinking about it. If I put it down, I was thinking about it. When I finished it, I was thinking about it, and that's why I only read 4 books, because I was like, I can't find a book that's gonna like match the energy that Quicksilver had. But I'm reading Book of Azrael now, which is having very similar vibes, so I'm happy, very happy. I highly recommend Quicksilver, and honestly the alchemy magic is something that I've not really read before, so I wasn't sure how I was going to get on with it, but I actually really enjoyed it, and it wasn't that complicated either. Some magic systems can appear quite, like, they can be quite scary to start reading because they can be a bit complex. But this one, it was complex, but it was understandable, which I really appreciate. But yeah, so that is what I read in the month of February. We're now in March and I'm hoping to read a little bit more than that, but we shall see. Let me know what you read in February, what you enjoyed, what you hated. If you've read any of the books that I've read and you have different opinions, please put them below. That start a discussion. I love talking to people about books. I don't care if you've got a different opinion to me. Let's talk about it. I want to hear how you interpreted the book, what things you didn't like, because it's okay to have different opinions. Whoever tells you it's not is wrong. Okay, cool. But if you like these videos, please give me a big thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button before you leave so you don't miss the next video. Bye guys.